Welcome back to Horrifically Well Read, Blood, and Said. We are so excited today to be welcoming Sylvester Barzey, author of Camp Lanier, a book that we both read and absolutely loved, and think you will too. Perfect for this season. Welcome, Sylvester, to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm really excited. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this.
Awesome. Yes, us too. So,
We
Camp
had a
Lanier
hyperfixation, I was gonna say, around Camp Lanier. At least I did.
around the lake, like in general, that
Yes,
the can, yeah.
because I had stumbled onto some podcasts that were talking about it, and so I was just like, "I gotta hear more, I gotta know more." So then, I went on to my Kindle app, I went on the Goodreads, kinda, like, tried to see if there were books out there and found you, and then read it, and I was like, "This is one of my favorite summer reads." I feel like that it just I realize as a person, I enjoy anything to do with, like, the woods and the camps and, like, anything related to that, so your book was just right down my alley, and it I would love for you to tell our listeners what it's about and why you decided to write about Camp Lanier and why are there so many podcasts about it?
About the lake, yeah.
That's awesome. So happy you enjoyed it. So, I'm originally from New York and I moved down to Georgia. So, Lake Lanier wasn't really in my radar when I was growing up, but I do distinctly remember one thing when I was growing up. Oprah had like this, what do you call it, best of Oprah episode.
Mhm.
And she had a town that was like a sundown town. So basically, they didn't want any black people in it. It's been like that since like the 1912 and things like that. And they were basically on Oprah's show trying to explain to her why black people don't need to be in their town, which is kind of weird. But so I always thought that was like the craziest thing.
And this was
And
like the '90s probably, right? Like,
yeah, it was the 90s. I was just a kid watching Oprah with my
that's
mom. And
insane.
yeah. Fast forward, become an adult and I moved down to Georgia and I'm working at a hotel and I noticed like every summer, Lake Lanier is on the news. So during that day, someone drowned and I brought it up to my manager and he's just like, oh, yeah, everybody's always drowning down there. And he's just like, there's a whole town under there. And I was like, what? That's crazy. So that started my little deep dive into what Lake Lanier was because to have a town under a lake, I thought that was just like an amazing concept. And especially since I'm a horror author, I was like, this is wild. And then as I started to learn the history of Oscarville and everything that happened, it was like a full circle moment because then it dawned on me that town that I watched on Oprah was Forsyth County. So,
Right, right.
so it all came together.
Well, now that
But
you shared that, I remembered too, so I had heard those, like, 2 podcasts because I think Morbid did one, there was another one, okay? But then I like to, watch a lot of reels and whatever, and there was a person that came up, and it was a Black woman, and she was like, "Can you believe that this school district is trying to send my children to Camp Lanier for a field trip?" They were like, "Oh, hell no, I'm not sending them." And so that's where I was like, "Wait, what?" Like, I didn't connect the 2, you know what I mean? When you're saying, like, you watched one thing years ago, and then I didn't realize that I had already listened and learned about this, and so when I start looking in the comments and the amount of people are like, it's like, they're really trying to, hurt Black people or, like, "Why would they do this to us?" And, the amount of people that were like, "Well, that's gonna be an unexcused absence," like, or, "They won't be going on that," and I was like, my god, and then that's what sent me down the rabbit hole to, like, learn about Oscarville and you know what I mean? Just how much the state or how do I wanna say this? How fucked up I mean, this is a multi-layered fucked up situation
Yeah.
that
yeah,
you're building for, like, you've basically written a historical horror fictional book.
mhm,
And that's really what it is. You're really paying homage to, not only just sundown towns, but just the tragedies that have happened. And I'll let you get into that a little bit more because I think that factors into your book.
yeah,
And just I'm curious later on, and we can get into that, but just like the spirituality behind it and like the reckoning,
mhm.
your thoughts behind that too. So tell me more about our listeners about what happened in Oscarville that makes this a historical book that you're basing this off of.
Okay, so in 1912, there was a an attack on a young white woman. She lived for a little bit, but then she died, and the police basically they rounded up these black kids. They were teenagers, and they investigated them with, like, it's called mock lynchings, where they pretty much, like, hold a noose by you to let you know how things are gonna go until you, like, confess. So, that's basically what happened. These kids got railroaded into confessing. One of them got dragged out of the courthouse, and they lynched him, and they dragged his body up and down the street, shooting at it. So, it was a very dark time in Georgia's history, but, off the back of that, off the back of the other kids being convicted, Forsyth County saw this as an opportunity to do a mass exodus of Black residents. So other towns or other counties had done that, and they became sundown counties. So Forsyth County used this tragedy that happened to this woman and the court case to basically roll into Oscarville and take everything. They rounded up the people. They forced them to just get out of town. They forced them into the river. A lot of them
Yeah.
drowned. A few of
I,
them
I
drowned.
I think
And
off the top of my head, it was something like, there's a really healthy African American population, and then eventually after that was done, I mean, it was like under like 5, 10, like, I mean, just scant amount of like people. I mean, they really,
mhm,
I mean, they just decimated, the population and did anything that they could, which was just, I mean, that's just so socially horrific to families, and just the fact that there's this belief system that they could do it, and then they did it.
yeah, it's definitely tragic. It also like is just land theft. Like Forsyth County was really big on like chicken farms and agriculture and things like that. And the Black community was really big at that. Their farms were doing well and all this stuff. So with this, that gave white people the opportunity to steal this lucrative land and these uh, farms and basically industries that were just built. And for a while, Forsyth County was like the richest county in Georgia, and it was really off of the backs of Oscarville and all these other displaced African Americans. So
You
there's like
know
descendants of Oscarville who still haven't like heard any justice. They don't. Yeah, they lost their whole generational wealth, their
yeah.
whole history. It's crazy.
I know that we have known that, there has been so much just manipulation and just absolute, like, I probably couldn't even fill it with the amount of adjectives of just and verbs of, like, stripping, you can use the word like colonizing, or, but it's just you're just what's the other one that we use in the urban center where you start pushing them out because of.
Gentrification.
Yes. And it's just, I mean, and we there's other parts like in some of these, what is it? Is it, it was a black-owned beach. I wanna say, what is it, Cooper Beach? That it was taken, like, it was a completely black-owned, black-run, and then they took it over, and they've just now, like, gotten the land back, but there's all these places of that you can see over the time of just these behaviors happening like this, and it's sickening to see how a county like that, and the trickle down, and just how the systemic oppression,
Yeah.
the stupid thoughts of like, "Oh, well, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you have the same advantages that we do," and it's like, "Sure, I lost my whole livelihood and my farms and
Yeah.
all these things, and I was run out of here, but sure, sure."
Yeah.
Well, it's like you talk about, like, learning of things, like and I remember I was probably I think I was, like, 13 or something like that when Rosewood, the movie, came out, and, it's a very similar thing where there's this real, like, fragility of the white population, especially in the South, which is where I'm from, so I'll pick on that, but, like, of watching Black people succeed, like, there's nothing that creates more animosity than seeing that. Obviously we have Tulsa, we have Rosewood, we have Oscarville. There's way too many, examples of that being the case. And so, like, looking at that and learning about it, then taking that and making it something that I think obviously tragedy is ripe for a horror author and a haunting, but the way that you also bring in sort of modern social things to this story is really impressive. So, can you tell us sort of like how we end up here at Lake Lanier is a real place. The camp that you created, this fictional camp at this site. Where did that idea come from, and sort of the story of your main character, how she ends up there?
It just I'm a big horror fan. Camp horror is a big thing to me. So when
So
I was
good.
yeah,
So good.
when I was thinking about the story, I was trying to, like, come up with a reasonable reason for why she would be hanging out at Lake Lanier. And aside from the fact that Taylor's not from Georgia, so she doesn't really know too much about it,
Mhm.
I thought and I'm a big Holes fan, so I thought it
Yeah.
would be great to have, like, kinda like a Holes mashup. So I was like, "I'm gonna make a summer camp here, and I'm basically gonna force her to go." So I had to give her a reason where she had to go and she can't leave. So that was pretty much the base of why I built a camp there.
Yes.
And yeah, so
Well, one of the things that when Adam said that you brought in other modern social issues, this one is modern, but it also goes far back too. But the unfairness and how the system does not work for
The
everyone.
judicial system, yeah.
Yes, the judicial system and how essentially, I won't go into the full detail, but you know, she does a really minor thing,
mhm,
something that I did as a kid, and didn't. I was like, I don't think I'm spoiling anything. I mean, basically, she shoplifts with her friends.
Friends being loose
Yeah, yeah,
cannibals.
exactly. And she just takes like a what is it, like a $9 lip gloss? Like it's really cheap, right?
yeah,
And I had friends that, were like an older friend that was like, "Oh, just go take this, put these clothes on." And we did it several times and I don't know why I didn't think it was wrong. And I just felt like and the one time we got stopped and by security and we were able to just walk back into the room, tell the truth that we did it, surrender our items. They called our parents, and then we were let go. Now, that is not what happens to your main character, and essentially, they're looking to her friends sell her out under the bus, say that it was all these things she did it, and she has to go before the court and get a lawyer, and just gets this terrible punishment. And
yeah,
I just feel like that's so representative of the bias
yeah,
and, being at the wrong place at the wrong time, the wrong county, any of those things that we didn't have the same experience. So I really hurt for her and her parents and how they were just like, "Look, we gotta do whatever we gotta do to keep you out of here." And they were like, "Well, do you wanna go do this, like, basically this summer work program at Camp Lanier?" They're like, "Yep, you're going. See ya. You gotta
yeah.
do what you gotta do."
That that's definitely an easy decision for a parent. Sending your kid to jail or sending them to camp is definitely an easy decision for them. When I was growing up, my mom, she always drilled into me that I have to be careful who my friends are, and she was always worried that I was always gonna get wrapped up into something, and she made it clear that I might not be able to get away with a lot of things that other people are able to get away with because
Yep.
I am like
Mhm.
so, with Taylor, yeah, it was just a minor thing. It was kinda like she was guilt tripped into hanging out with her friends, and then she was just, like, peer pressured into stealing, and then they ran her over with the bus, and that's always, like betrayal by your friends is, like, a terrible thing because she felt like they accepted her even though, they were
Yeah,
kinda shitty people. So
yeah. This is
so
such a
just
great coming of age experience, though, of recognizing there are ruthless people out there,
yeah,
who you can and can't trust.
Well, I think that the other thing to me is, the friends are white, and they make a lot of comments to Taylor about her status at this sort of she's at this elite sort of private school, and she's an incredible basketball player, and, the sort of micro and macro aggressions that she deals with from the friends, and the fact is that, like, in this day and age, these friends know to throw her under the bus is gonna mean so much
Yeah.
serious repercussions for her. So they're well aware of what
Mhm.
they're doing. And I just can't help but think of, events and things like that where it's like when you look at the makeup of a group that you're
Yeah.
with and understanding that there are dynamics when you are the only person of color,
Yeah.
and it's so hard because you like, "These are my friends. I would never do this to them." I assume the same from the other
Yeah.
side, but when fear, jealousy, and all these things come in, they revert back to, like, the lowest common denominator.
Yeah, like, you would never really know what's going on in somebody's head. Like, me and my wife, we watch true crime a lot, and there's, like, couples that have been married for, like, 40 years, and then the husband
Right?
kills the wife or something. So, you can't just assume that your friends are gonna always be there for you. I'm not saying don't have friends, people have friends, that's a good thing. I'm just saying you have to look out for yourself, you have to make
Yes.
sure that you're protected. And basically, in the case of Taylor, just don't shoplift. She should went home. That was definitely what
Yeah,
she.
I mean, for myself, I remember coming home and telling my dad, like, I didn't know that they had called my parents.
Yeah.
And I got home and I was so upset with myself and so embarrassed that this person that was 6 years older than me talked me into it, and
Mhm.
I would never, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it all hit me then of what are you doing? It was almost like the fog cleared or whatever from the
Yeah.
peer pressure. And he was like, "Well, they called me, and I'm so glad you told me. Like, I can tell that you're just, you know, not that he's like, I'm not gonna punish you, but you seem like you're
You got
punishing
it.
Clearly,
I
yeah.
did, and I look back and I made the choice then, I'm like, "I'm not hanging out with this person anymore." Like, I want nothing to do with them because but it's a very coming of age moment, and I think it can be shoplifting and be other things, but I think you write this age of kids really, really well.
Yeah, Taylor is hilarious.
She is, but so is when you get there and, to the camp, I think the supporting character
Uh,
is
Vic?
Karuna.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
it's just one of my absolute all-time favorite
she's the best.
characters. I would when you say, like, pick a character from a book you'd wanna hang out with and
Mhm.
Yeah.
chill, they are one, for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Smart ass, snarky, smart, brilliant, like and a queer so, you really, like, just again, she kind of is like, "Hey, I'm gonna work my advantages here with, like, these people from the camp, like, I'm gonna get what
Yeah.
I need to get," and just, she's very socially smart and savvy.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Vic she was an amazing character to write. I loved her. I I love horror or humor with my horror. So,
Mhm.
I always have, like, that
Yes,
character that.
yes. I
Yeah.
think that's part of the book here is that's really important to call it. Your book is very humorous,
Mhm.
and it's got great intensity,
yeah, the people
pacing.
the characters are very funny. I love how the humor comes from that. The
Mhm.
events, I would they you have
They're
some
scary.
there's some scary shit in here. I really love that. I love too the fact that, like, when so it's this family that has run the camp for, a long time and that kind of thing, and I always love in a story, and you do it so well in this one, where there's this, like, they seem benevolent almost to Taylor at first, and the fact that she's allowed to be a counselor instead of in the work area, which we don't
Yeah.
realize what exactly that would have entailed until a little
Mhm.
later. But there's also, like, you do a really good job of not being obvious about it, but there's a distinct air of menace, to everything that happens,
Yeah.
while at the camp. And, obviously, as we go along, we understand why. But when we get there, and it's so funny that you said holes, because, like, I kinda see this as like, okay, what if that place was a million times worse is kinda what is going on here, huh?
Right. What if there was a serial killer running around in holes? Yeah, that was basically it. It was like Holes meets, Kindred meets, Friday the 13th.
Yes.
Okay, Kindred, I just thought was like my favorite. One of my
One of your
all-time
5
favorite
favorite books,
books.
yeah, mhm.
So good.
Section 13 is so scary to me, so, like, I think you totally hit that shit.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, I love Kindred, like, it took me a minute to read it because, like, when people explained it to me, I was just like, "I don't think I wanna read this." But, when I sat down and I read it, it was amazing. I love the TV show. I hate Hulu for canceling it. Everything was
Yeah,
good. But so, with Taylor, when she arrives, I guess when you finish the book, you kinda realize that everything's pretty organized, like, they know what they're doing.
yes,
So, with Taylor being a counselor and not going to the work study camp, that was basically to protect themselves because Taylor shows up with her parents versus
yep,
all the work studies, they don't show up like that.
mhm,
So, they knew that they couldn't do the same things to Taylor that they could do to the other kids because she has people home that are gonna come looking for her. Even
wow,
though there are, like, people looking for these kids, they the family just kinda disregards them. Like, they've been labeling this one child's mom, like,
mother,
a
yeah,
druggie who's been searching for her child because her child went missing the year before Taylor. So, before all the events of the book, there's a work study who goes missing, and the camp's explanation for any kid that's MIA is that they ran away. So that's what they tell everyone, she ran away, but her mother doesn't believe it, and her mother's holding on to it, and she's just really trying to find her daughter, and she knows there's something going on. And I used her kinda like, the basically the trope that you see in, like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Friday the 13th. There's always this, like,
you're
crazy.
all doomed.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. That's who she was.
Yeah, it's the harbinger, right?
I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
Like Silver Surfer.
she's great foreshadowing.
Yeah. No, but it's so funny too because, when you say you watch true crime, we watch and listen to a lot of true crime too, and,
Yep.
how many serial killers is it? It's like runaways, right? It's like, "Oh, they ran away," and then it's like, they never count on the parent or someone being like, "No, they wouldn't have
Yeah.
done that, like, they're not runaways," and then it's like, "Oh, well, what do we have to do now? Okay, they're a druggie, oh, they're this and that," and it's like,
To
you know
dehumanize them.
yeah, and it's just it's so messed up.
I never got the runaway thing because, like, okay, so I go to the police and they're like, "Well, your kid probably ran away." I don't care. You still need to go look for them.
Yeah,
Why is
Exactly.
that the end of the thing? Like, I don't understand why it's like, "Oh, they ran away. There's nothing that we can do." Like, what?
yeah.
No.
It's like, it's illegal for them not to go to school. You need to go
Yeah.
get them so they can, like
Yeah.
it's like, what are you talking? It's
Pick
okay.
them up for truancy or something. Find my kid. Like, it's
Yeah,
and, yeah, it happens a lot for the Black community too. They're cast aside, they're looked as just runaways, and there's no, like, real investigations done
mm,
until either they find the body or the family's making a lot of noise,
yeah.
and it's sad that it has to be like that. It shouldn't be like that at all. It doesn't have to be like that. It shouldn't be like that at all.
No,
But
and it
yeah.
reminds me, that area, Atlanta, the other thing that I think about are the child murders that happened
Yeah.
there, and very similarly, it was like, the police were pretty nonchalant about it, and
Mhm.
the person that they, ended up arresting for it, there's a pretty good case that they didn't actually do it, and it's just kinda like, "Oh, we got somebody, it's fine,"
Yeah.
you know?
There there's a argument that he was framed. I know with the Atlanta child murders, the mother I forget which I don't know if his name was Yusuf, but the mother of her son who went missing, she was the one that was always on the news. She was always bringing up noise. She basically wouldn't let them stop.
Mm,
So, the police had to act. The police had to do things. And she even said that she didn't believe the person they arrested did it. So it's it's weird. It's it's a case that I actually want to write about. I want to do a fictionalized thing about that. But yeah, that was definitely in the back of my mind when I was doing Camp Lanier.
yeah, James Baldwin's, Evidence of Things Not Seen, I think it's called,
Mhm.
where he kinda went down to Atlanta during this to report on it is really it's
Yeah,
such an upsetting, book and things too, where it's very much like that idea that some people deserve justice where others don't.
yeah.
that kind of leads to, situations. And one beautiful thing about the horror genre is that people that have been wronged in life can get their vengeance, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely the best thing about horror. The comeback, the vengeance, the I love it. I love the payback. So,
I love that, and, I have not read it yet, it's on my TBR. You have a book that's about a sundown town too, that sounds just absolutely nightmarish.
Parish, yeah, Parish
Yes.
Parish was a good I enjoyed writing Parish, but it definitely takes root in basically the real world. Just like people going for a drive and just not coming home, police stops that go terribly wrong,
Mm.
and yeah, it's just a whole kinda, like, collage of all that, of the interaction of, Black America with the police and America as a whole, because it's not the same. It's not the same America for everybody, so
Yeah, I think that's one of those things that it's kind of, this whole summer has been like the
Exactly.
summer of the 250th, or whatever. And it's
yeah,
so hard to say, like, what exactly is it that we're celebrating? And it's like, look, that's not unpatriotic. That's not
yeah,
saying
no,
you don't love the place where you live. And, I have a very complicated, like, feelings towards where I'm from. Like, I live in Pennsylvania now, but I was born outside of Nashville, Tennessee, and, like,
okay.
there's an absolute beautifulness to the South and, the culture and the different things and the land itself and all this. But, like, you could make the case that no greater evils have happened in anywhere than in that
Mhm.
same place, and that's not something you could easily reconcile, especially in a country that never has actually looked at it and admitted to,
Yeah,
that the side has never admitted to, just what was actually done and continues to be.
And I think even right now with everything happening with Nolan Wells, we see that victimization again of, well, let's talk about this. Let's criminalize that. Let's protect so you're seeing
Or even
the
just the idea of let's hold judgment. Who gets no. Yeah, it's like who gets judgment held and who gets
that's
judged
it.
immediately.
Well, and so it focuses on what we were saying at the beginning. It's the wealthy. It's,
mhm,
the book gets thrown at certain people and not, and, now when we have things on in social media and they're exposed more, there's a benefit to the fact that we can raise awareness and
Yep.
things aren't able to just stay as hidden as they used to be.
Yeah, because even that wasn't nationally talked about for
that's more
days until
social
yeah.
media that took
Yep.
took on its back, and
Yeah,
it
and
is
it's like
insane.
it is it's so it's wonderful to see that people are like, "We're not gonna just let this go," and just, like, the details and the sleuthing and stuff like that, not just with Nolan Wells, but even other, like, true crime cases, but it feels like you could see the bigotry and the criticisms that come out in the comments of how much more
Oh,
work we still need
yeah,
to do, and even recently when we had those heat waves coming through over, like, 100 degrees, look, like, the capital city to the north of us in Harrisburg had made the decision to close some pools,
Closed public pools, yeah,
and it's like there's a history of that, of not letting
because they said they were afraid of people getting in fights.
and the comment section was just filled, "Well, you know who's to blame for this? You
no,
know who's," and much more, like, worse than that. But there's also, Adam, that book always say, like, when why racism affects everyone, and the history of public swimming pools,
mhm,
just withholding, and
Just
so
closing them, yeah, or
it
yeah,
ties into even aspects here of we really haven't shared, like, the next level of what happens to Oscarville. What is the
yeah,
next thing? So if you wanna share about that a little bit, because it does come back into just the carelessness of what the state of Georgia decided to do. Just again to show just how worthless, they felt with things.
yeah, so with Oscarville, after, they stole their property and everything, we, jumped forward probably about, like, 40 years, and then the, government, through, like, eminent domain and whatnot, they needed to build a dam, and when they did that, it flooded not just Oscarville, there's other towns down there too, but it flooded Oscarville, and they didn't take down anything, which is extremely weird to me. So there's whole houses down there, there's a graveyard down there,
The
there's
racetrack is what's
The
crazy, right?
racetrack,
Yeah.
exactly. The
yeah.
20-foot trees.
Yeah, that's like the trees that you see poking up, that's just the top, and, like, basically where you are is just the top of hills or mountains and stuff, so it's crazy. It's yeah, it's
So that
insane, so
yeah,
that's why
so
they believe people are drowning and whatnot because
yep.
there's a lot of debris that they can get caught up in. I mean, there's other reasons that I believe you're drowning, but that
Mhm.
Okay, that's what I wanna get into because, in order to build this book and to tie it in, you deal with a lot of, like, the spiritual, the as we said, you can get your comeback.
Mhm,
With this, just obviously the carelessness, like I said, and just I mean, I think it just shows the, like, audacity to be like, "This area wasn't shit. We don't have to do anything. We can just
yeah,
flood it. It doesn't
mhm,
matter." And all of the cemeteries and all the people that have passed and the lives
yeah,
that lived there, like, it didn't have meaning, and it does. And so, over the years, why when I was sharing that about the field trip where they're like, "We're not sending them," it's like there has been significant deaths all the time,
mhm.
and they're saying it's like it's cursed, it's like building on a burial ground is what you did.
It's definitely got a lot of darkness around it, it was part of the Trail of Tears when they were
I did
forcibly
not know
moving.
that.
Yeah, it starts around that area, so when they were forcibly moving Native Americans out, there's part of that area that's in the Forsyth, Lake Lanier type area, and, like, yeah, with Oscarville, there's a lot of pain in the water, and, I mean, I feel like if you believe in things like that, if you believe that there's just energy that hangs around, I don't think you'd be doing cannonballs in the water. That's just
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so how did you take that lore and that spirituality and work that into your book? Like I know how you did it, but how would you describe to the reader that you satisfied that?
oh, yeah, so there's 2, like what do you call it? There's 2 stories about Oscarville. There's, the 1912 one, and then, it was flooded in the '50s, but then a lot of people tend to kinda, like, confuse it, and they feel like Oscarville was flooded and the people were in there, and that's not that's not what happened. Uh, I made a point to explain that at the end of my book that that's not what happened, but that's the basis of what happens in the book. That's the backbone of the story. There's a little girl that runs around camp. She's dressed in all white. She's skipping, and creepy little kids. That's always so. Taylor runs into her.
Oh, yeah, that you do some good stuff with that girl, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Like one of his fears that he's is like small children, little things like girls with
Mhm.
like, the ring, like
Now I understand, like, children, old people, people from the 1920s, all that freaks me out. I don't like to see like, I don't wanna turn a corner and a kid's just standing there, like,
I think
I'm
that, like, and we live near Gettysburg, which is, one of the most haunted places in the world, and there's that feeling, and I think that's what it is with this girl too, is that, like, when you see someone that looks out of time,
yeah,
like, they're just wrong, there that sense of just, like, eeriness is so palpable,
yeah.
it's so good.
Yeah, she's definitely just out of place, but, yeah, Taylor gets to a point where she, I guess, wants to take her job seriously and goes to confront this girl, and that's how we get to Oscarville. She's
Yes.
basically transported to the night everything happens,
Mm,
and she sees what the townspeople are going through. She sees what this little girl's going through, Josephine, and, like, she gets the pain because she was so far away from it that it wasn't impacting her the way it
yeah,
needed to. So,
right.
to put her in the middle of it so she can understand what really happened here and what land she's standing on, and then, like, put her back in place so she can fix things. That's exactly what it was.
and you allowed Josephine to violently show that, and how and I feel like that's where you really bring in those kindred vibes.
Yeah.
For anybody who's read that of the I'm not gonna spoil it for either book, but, the methodology is pretty wild.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And one thing that you said that I love that, Taylor was chosen. And Taylor, one thing that I love about this book, it's two things. It's a belief in who is being believed when they say something because, it's basically women and black women not being believed when they say something is wrong or something is
Yeah.
happening. Um
Such a good point.
And then it's also the fact that Taylor is underestimated by everyone. And, I love that, this basically Josephine's like, they see the specialness of Taylor because Taylor, before any of this happens with Lori and the Chanels, which I love that there's two of them, like everyone had, like, to me, we had all these Kates and it was
Kate's
like,
and
yeah,
Catherine.
Catherines, and, like, they were it was by their last name that there was Catherine B, and there was Catherine W, and Catherine C, and,
Yeah.
like, but even before what happens with that, she has dealt with more trauma than someone her age should have, and I really do believe that, those kinds of things mark you.
It makes you more open and empathetic.
Yes, it makes you open, empathetic, but then also not that anyone there just accepted what happened to them previous to her. But she has a fight that the people that are doing bad things, which again, I don't want to spoil who that might be, they don't realize that they've got a bigger fight than ever thought they were going to have. And I just love that. This is, when it comes to coming of age, it's very much coming into your own power, saying, like, no, I'm not just going to accept things the way that they were.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I love about sort of like the generation that is coming up right now and doing this on social media.
Oh,
We had
definitely.
like Ida Wells and Walter White. We just talked with Kelly McWilliams about her book, which is about, the people like that reported on these things, that lynchings that happened in towns like this. But now it's these young people that are there are saying no, they're documenting it and they're
Yeah.
like, whatever. And I love that, like, she's like a heroine that is so much of the time and so needed right now.
Yeah, Taylor definitely came to this with a lot of pain and a lot of rage that she just kinda pushes down. I felt like she she had a lot of guilt on her, and she didn't feel like she had the right to just kinda, like, mourn her brother. She
Mhm.
didn't feel like she had the right to put attention on her even though she needed it, because their family was going through a lot. So yeah, they basically just picked the wrong kid because
Yep.
she had a lot of rage that she wanted to let out. So, yeah. The
Good for her. Like that was, I mean, that was probably like hell. She was already doing sentence for a time that, and you compound that with the grief and the
Yeah,
bullshit and all the things that she like realizes, and then the experiences that Josephine gives her. And it's just a recipe or a cocktail for let's fucking go, and she
yeah,
does.
yeah, 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 I love Taylor. Taylor was an, amazing character.
And the family in general is so well written. And, the mom and the dad, they don't have like, on the page, they're in the story for a short period of time at the beginning. But the dynamics of
They
this
have a big
family.
presence in the
Yeah.
film.
Well, one,
But
like
even
yeah, it's like you said that, the fact that they support her even though she did something dumb and it wasn't
Mhm.
fair what happened, like you said, that kind of things change because they know that she has parents that care and are there. But, there's some really interesting discussions at the beginning of the book between her parents and her, with the realities of life for her and the things that they've experienced. It's a really like thin line between I want you to enjoy your life and I want you to be safe. And it's not fair for a parent to have to like think about those things, but it's the reality for any like black teenager, right?
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, their family definitely has a whole other set of fears because of what happened to her
Mhm.
brother. So, like, just to know that you lost someone to the hands of the police, and then your next child could end up in the same situation. She put herself in a situation that is just terrifying to a family that's overcoming that. So,
Absolutely.
I can't
yeah.
imagine as a parent. I mean, they're just getting blindsided a second time with, the they must be on in survival mode, and
They already are because,
that's what
their
I'm saying.
income's cut in half, they're in a new city,
That's
like
what I'm saying.
yeah.
Yes, like, thank you. I was gonna get to all, but that's really it. I mean, it's like there is no rest. It's the hypervigilance. Like, we'll do whatever we got to do,
Yeah.
and just when do they catch a break? And it's like this camp is supposed to be the break. And
Yeah.
in a way, I think you know things happen for a reason. But because Taylor went there, and because she does unleash all that,
Mhm.
I think there is some healing brought about. So I would love to hear what you think about that.
Yeah, I definitely think, like, things happen for a reason. What you think is, like, the worst thing to happen to you could be leading to something, or your story could be helping somebody, and things like that. So it's like, yeah, in the terms of Taylor, she coulda went to jail, or she coulda got a slap on her wrist, and this evil that's going on at the camp woulda just continued going because there wasn't gonna be anyone there that was gonna stop it. So Taylor had to, and she had to go through this because she had to kinda, like, deal with her own pain because she
Hmm.
probably would have kept ignoring it, and she would have kept, shrinking herself at school and things like that. Just be so this summer camp was, like, life-changing for her because she was able to come into herself and just help a lot of people along the way. So,
And even just like the woman that we talked about at the beginning, like through all of this, and as the story ends, like Taylor does help that woman to get some closure as well.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, at the end, she just finally gets to be believed and just gets the closure that she needs. Like, because it's extremely hard for you to know something's wrong and nobody believes you. Like, no one's listening to you. They're just kinda disregarding you, and it's just like, I picture that she was going crazy because she felt like she was just being pushed aside, and, like, I feel like that's a thin line, like,
Yeah, because
things
it's
like
like,
that occurring drive you crazy.
yeah, it's like a worse version than being gaslit, like whatever that is, of just, you
Yeah.
know, denial of the entire reality and experience while also diminishing the value of the most important thing in your life, your child.
Yeah, it is because I think that, like, this camp, we haven't really gotten into the structure of it, but it's the have and the have-nots. Like, it's a prison work camp where, they basically have unpaid labor
Half
to
of
to
it.
do everything for half of it, and the other half are the richest people that imaginable in the area coming to have, to send their kids to have their great summer. Uh, and it really is, it's like there's an expendableness to some people. It's a question of who's worthwhile and who's not.
Yeah.
And, I love how, like, this camp becomes this huge microcosm of just, like, the entire, like, probably city of Atlanta, the
Yeah.
country, like, all of that thing where you have such incredible wealth and, people that are just used to everything being done for them, and then people that are literally living in shit.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like the work study people, they were wearing red jumpsuits just like us, and they just live in a big old tent. I was in the military for a while, so we did a lot of tents, and that's where I got that idea from because it's kinda like
A tent in Georgia in the summer cannot be
yeah.
pleasant.
No, like, if I feel like if you're really disregarding somebody as a human being, like, not giving them a proper place to sleep is a big thing, so just tossing them a tent and be like, "Oh," you know, "find a way," is is ridiculous, especially for, like, a lot of kids, like, if I got thrown into something like this and they were like, "Go build your tent and go sleep," I would be traumatized. I'm from the city. I
Mhm.
don't have I don't
Yep.
have time for
I'd be
this.
like crying just trying to assemble it. And God forbid there would be a wind come through or some rain.
Right?
Ugh.
Yeah.
my tent is still in a box, and I have one just for,
Yeah.
like, emergencies of, like, if the power goes out and we have to, like, do and I'm like, "Oh god, I hope I never have to put this together because."
I grew up in the city too, and, like, if I see, like, snakes and all of those kinds of things, like, bro, I just it's not I wasn't built for that.
Well, I grew up in the
Yeah.
country, but I'm gonna borrow the line from the comedian Jim Gaffigan. My parents didn't take me camping because they loved,
Yes, exactly. We have evolved.
but they're like, "We have a home inside with
No,
indoor
yeah,
plumbing."
Yeah.
that's definitely true. Because my wife, she comes to me sometimes, she's like, "We should go camping," and I'm like, "You mean glamping? Because I'm not going in a tent."
Yeah.
If I'm doing it, I'm going.
You mean you wanna get an Airbnb in the woods? Is that
Yeah,
what you mean?
That's
Like,
get a
exactly what
nice cabin, we can get a fancy old RV, but yeah, I'm
like
not
like a
just
nice A-frame.
yeah, I'm not just sleeping outside. But
Yeah,
yeah, the way they have everything set up for those, kids, like, they're all the way on the other side, separated, so they have to drive in every morning, and they have to, like, take care of these people, but the people don't want them near them, not that close.
and
So
I think it's worth saying that, Adam mentioned at the beginning that the owners of this camp have owned for a really long time. There's a son and a daughter that are part of like the family as well. And, the son getting kind of like groomed to, become a bigger part.
mhm,
And, these I was gonna say students or children that come through this program from the courts, it seems like such a benevolent thing, right? Like, "Hey, go do the camp experience instead." But really, they put them to work in a way that is, you know, reminiscent of other times.
yeah, it's
And
definitely like slave labor. That's basically
yes,
it.
and they what they do is this particular owner just continues to profit and profit and profit. So they take this criminal justice system that's already wrecked and unfair, and they just use it for, I mean, that's like they don't have to pay anything. And it's just that thing of what you were saying of, they took the chicken farms and all these other, I mean, here
mhm,
we are again, just it's the next generation of being like, great, how can I take advantage of these people
Yeah,
with complete shamelessness under the cloak that a lot of times, I think we see white people do of, "No, no, I'm offering something good.
mhm,
This is I'm helping."
yeah, it's definitely just a facade. They're just telling to yeah, 'ca everybody else, they're like, "Oh, well, this is a program. They're helping these kids. They're keeping these kids out of jail."
yep,
And
rehabilitating youth, yeah,
yeah, and these kids are just being, like, worked to death with no payment. They just sleep in a tent, and
yep,
then as we find out, as we go, through the book, we find out that kids go missing every year from the program, and it just, so they basically they built themselves a hunting ground, and people are thanking them for it, for the way they
yep,
said. So,
ugh.
That's so sick, and that's so true. Like, that's what it and it's
Well, then they villainize, because it's like, people go missing, it's like, well, they didn't
like,
well, it's that they didn't appreciate what we had given
yep.
to them in this chance and stuff like that, that
It's
they
just a
yeah.
re-victimization on repeat.
mhm,
Yeah, and, like, the history of convict labor in, those areas and stuff too of just being just
Thinking
absolutely
about
horrific.
that scene
yeah,
in Sinners
Yeah,
where they have
yeah,
the highway gangs,
yes, it's
yeah.
like, I mean, it wasn't much different in your book, I feel like, it's like, but it's on a camp.
yeah,
It
that I mean,
worked.
that is how it is according to the law. What that's the only legalized form of slavery you can have is with
Yep,
convicts and people in prison, like, so it's just it's crazy. It's crazy that they can still do that, like, you shouldn't like, I understand, like, there's some people that deserve to be there and just should never leave, I understand that, but I don't feel like you should take advantage of people and just use them to for your own benefit, regardless
yeah,
of what they did, and especially it's not even like, "Oh, we're using them and we're making society better." We're using them for, like, billionaire corporations so they can make little
Yep,
things for them and
yep,
do all this stuff. So,
yeah.
it's crazy.
It's never to benefit society as a whole greater, it's always it always comes back to, like,
Yeah,
follow the money trail, right? And it's the
Mhm.
same
yeah.
thing for the one of the things that, just as an aside here, as we always like, try to bring in, some current events or things at time, but as we're talking, but I felt that it was wonderful to see that Mondani had watched the World Cup within the prisons with the prisoners as if they were human beings because they are.
Mhm.
And, it's like, just looked at that and I'm like, how nice that someone humanizes, like, that the person that committed these crimes probably doesn't even exist anymore, the changes and it's to have someone like that come in that actually is observing and even I can't remember and, there was another person that was, like, actually sleeping in the homeless, like, the shelters and, like, the things that they set up for, I guess it's like the respite areas. I I mean, to me, like, these as civil servants actually experiencing now, I'm sure, like, the prison probably cleaned up and did all
Yeah.
that, and pick the best prisoners to sit, whatever, but it's a step in a direction that I feel like we haven't seen in a really long time of humanization.
Yeah, no, definitely. Even just thinking, even just hearing it, because like growing up in New York, Rikers Island is a terrifying thing. Like
Yeah.
you hear people go in just to wait for their trial and then they end up dead. They don't make it. And so it's
Mhm.
like it's a terrifying thing. So to hear that the mayor went down there to be with these prisoners and to just bring some humanity to this place that is just filled with a lot of not evil people, just filled with a lot of evil things that have happened regardless of who's there, just like people dying. No one should no one should be arrested for something that like, there's so many people that are arrested for things that they didn't do, and they spend
Mm.
years and they just lose themselves.
Yeah, who was I can't think of his name right now, hopefully, maybe you do or I can look it up afterwards, but he was arrested for something he didn't do, was in there for so long, just waiting to be
This one,
processed.
is like 36 years.
No, no, he was a kid, basically, and
Yeah, he
he
ended
came
up
out
committing
and
suicide.
what's that?
He ended up committing suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's
And
Yes.
yeah, it's just like the lack of due process in certain places.
yeah,
Which brings me to my time to always plug the movie Sing Sing if you haven't watched it, about prison reform and rehabilitation. And if you've ever like thought that The Shawshank Redemption was a good movie, this is like to me 100 times even better. It's just it is a level that you will cry and all these different things. And it's talking about a lot of the things we're talking about right now.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
No,
a great movie.
Have you seen it, Sylvester?
no, I
You and
don't.
your wife would love it.
Yeah.
It is dealing with the prison system for performing arts, so as it's and they
Yeah,
really
was it
describe
Coleman Domingo is in it? Yeah.
and the thing is just
Yeah,
on
it's
the next
excellent.
level, but
Yeah.
check it out. It seems like something that maybe would even spur some ideas for some future work.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, could be.
The person we were talking about, I believe, is Khalif Browder?
Yeah.
Browder?
Yes.
Yeah, so he was in Rikers Island. That's the prison that he was in when
Yep, I thought so, yeah. There's a excellent documentary about that.
yeah, it's so sad. It's
Yeah,
yeah.
and the thing is, there's so many stories that are
Yeah,
exactly like that,
and
that's
it's
the
just
one,
like
yeah.
people kinda see it and they're like, "Okay, yeah, they got out and they sued the city and the city gave them, like, millions or something like that." You've lost, like, 30 some odd years of your life. Like,
Insane.
being behind bars is it shapes you. They're not gonna be the same. They've missed out on so much. There's people who were wrongfully convicted, and they've missed the whole foundation of the internet. Like, there's some
Mhm.
people who yeah, so it's just it's sad, and, you do get the vibe of that in the book that maybe some kids didn't do anything, especially with
Yep,
Taylor. You know Taylor right off the bat doesn't deserve what she's getting, but, I kinda did it I did it like that for you know, the systematic racism within the judicial system, but there was also a big thing, I think it was called, Cash for Kids, where, like, these 2 or 3 judges were basically being paid by these juvenile centers to sentence kids there. So, like, kids will do, like, the minor thing, like, I think one of them kicked his teacher, and he sent him off to juvie, and, like yeah, so they were making money on the back end while they were ruining these kids' lives. So,
It's
it's
just
How is that not evil?
it
Like,
is.
people sorry, I was rhetorical,
Yeah.
but just in terms of, like, we watch horror movies and we think, "Oh, that's too much," you know?
Mhm,
As a like, as a Christian person or whatever, like, shouldn't watch those things, but then these things happen in real life, and there's no outrage in the same
yeah,
moment, and it's like you're actively ruining someone's entire life, like, you get one chance, there's one life.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
can't hit the rewind, you can't just be like, "Oops, I'm sorry, here's a read," It's
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, you look at, like, what's more evil, Jason getting revenge for his mom or these people, you know? It's like you look at the villains of a lot of horror movies and, they're not as bad.
A little bit.
yeah. No, the real world is definitely scarier and more evil than any horror movie. Like, you just see things like right now with the whole Epstein files and things like that.
Oh my god.
We're we're I feel like everybody in the world is laughing at us because other countries are, like, stripping people of power, putting
Yep.
people on trial, and we're sitting here with a president who's just in and out of the files, and we're just like, "Oh, it's okay. Everything's
Yeah.
fine." Like,
Yep.
it's insane. It's insane what people get away with
'Cause
just because
of
of their
money and
status.
class and
Yeah,
protecting one another.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's horrifying, it's
Even,
disgusting.
like, the judge, in the Nolan Wells, it's like, why was that person even allowed to preside?
right? Yeah,
I mean, it's just like it's not even like they're trying to
Listen, to have
they're not
his
even trying to keep it quiet.
yeah,
It's
to
just
have
like,
his phone and
ridiculous.
to get lawyers before
yeah,
his body's even found, it's like, just exactly.
and,
Like,
like, the
I don't care what anyone
story doesn't make sense because 'cause you're like, "Oh, he got a ride with somebody else."
Yeah.
Why do you have his phone? Who leaves their phone? Like,
Mhm.
that doesn't make any sense.
Nobody.
How would he contact you?
Yep. And then now he was at a party like that, and, it's like, it's just falling apart, and
Yeah,
I just feel
What
so
about
bad.
someone being actually, like, fucking contrite? And, like, the question is, like, if my child did that, as much as I love them, and they don't you think, Adam, we would be like, "You deserve"
Yeah,
like, you
you
need
gotta
to
own up.
you have to own up, like, there is a consequence to taking someone's life.
Mhm.
But the
yeah.
fact that these people that are rich are just like, "Let me protect this,"
Yeah.
Let me
what are you
cover
Again,
it.
it's
thinking?
the question of worth.
Yeah,
It's they truly believe their lives are worth
they messed up, but they
Mhm.
shouldn't have their whole life ruined because they made one bad choice, and it's like, "Are you gotta be fucking kidding me."
You certainly ruined another life or ended it, so it couldn't even happen, but very heavy things, obviously, but not to say this book has heaviness at spots, but it is so fun. So people listening, and I want to kind of wrap this up by saying, like, and again, no spoilers with anything, but one of the most satisfying final 20 pages or whatever
Hell
of a book, like I you know you always want a landing to be stuck, and you stuck the hell out of the landing in this one. Like, I'm actively, like, cheering in my head as I was reading this
like
book.
like an
Yeah.
Olympic level gymnast
Yeah.
coming off the vault.
Yep.
Thank you,
Curious
thank you.
Strug, you
I
Like,
know?
always
yeah,
say
like I said, I'm big on revenge and comeuppance and things like that. Like, I would I hate watching a movie and then it ends and it's not rectified. Like,
Yes.
I don't know if you guys seen, the original was it Say No Evil or Speak No Evil?
Yes. Oh my
the
god.
That
original.
ending made me so I
Speak
don't
no
like
evil.
yeah, I don't like endings where it's just kinda like so when I was writing this, I was like, "I have to get revenge," because
Mhm.
that's just basically what
Well, it's the other movie, Funny Games. I don't know if you ever saw that,
yeah, funny games.
or
Yeah.
The First Strangers even, where it's like, I
Yeah.
get it. I get what you're trying to do, but I don't
Yeah,
like it.
I'm not sleeping well tonight because of this.
Yes.
Like, yeah, so but I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, especially the ending. I'm really happy you guys enjoyed it. I put a lot of things into this book. I had a lot of fun. I got to, like, play with the horror, like, slasher sandbox. I got to
Yes.
name the character after Sidney Prescott, and I got to
Yes.
yeah, so Jamie Lee Curtis. I had a good time. It was a good time.
No, I love it. So where can everyone find you? Where can they buy it? Like,
You can find Camp Lanier pretty much anywhere they sell ebooks or paperbacks. It's available everywhere. You can find it at my website, which is www.sylvesterbarzey.com. All my things are kind of like discounted on my website. So like on Amazon, it's $4.99, but you can come to me for $1.99. So do
yeah,
that.
you do sign
And
books every now and
yeah,
again too on
yeah, I have
there?
when they're in stock, I have to get a new stock of them because they sold out. But yeah, I do sign books and things like that. And I'm basically all my social media handles are at Sylvester Barzey, but you'll most likely just see me on Instagram or Threads. I don't really venture off that much to other places
Yeah. It's
unless I
work just those 2, so trying to.
Yeah.
yeah.
What are you working on next?
Currently, I'm writing a story called He Who Prays. Seri I'm serializing it in, Substack. So, basically uploading the chapters every 2 weeks to the readers, so they're coming along their journey as I complete this book. But, He Who Prays, it's a Southern horror, I guess, again, and, it's about this girl named Tracy Todd, and her father is in prison for murdering a pastor, and he's
No.
also accused of string of serial killings of, young girls during that year of 1979. He's accused, but he was never, like, convicted of it.
Mm.
So, he dies in prison, and she has to go back home to this town that she basically escaped to bury him, and when she gets there, the kidnappings and the murders start again. So
Oh,
it's like figuring out if it's a copycat, if it's a killer coming back from the grave, or if Tracy isn't telling you everything.
nice.
Mhm.
Alright. I'm gonna get on that as soon as we get off this. So
Absolutely.
that sounds wonderful. Well,
Yeah, I've got all the
amazing.
chapters on Substack. I think Substack is up to, like, chapter 11 right now, I believe.
Amazing. Well, that sounds fantastic. Love Camp Lanier. Everyone should buy it that's listening. And thank you so much. This was as wonderful as I hoped it would be. Like, love talking to you. Hopefully, we can do it again sometime.
Most definitely, I would love to be back. This was a great time. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, we had a great time.
Yes.
This is like one of my favorite kind of episodes because we're talking history, we're
Yep.
talking current events, social horror, and then being a sociology major, I love everything all like race, class, sociology, gender, like sexual, like everything. You wrapped it all up into one book, and then like you said, like I love the camp,
Yep.
the horror, the woods, the well, what you said. It's you know, it it's Jason meets
Kindred.
Kindred
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
little bit of Scream, a little bit of, The Parent Trap. I know it's not that, but just like I'm thinking of like a summer camp situation of like those were rich kids that got sent there, clearly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so you tied it all together for me.
Yep. Love it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so
Well, thank you and
Thank
have a great
you.
rest of your night.
Good
You
night.
too. Have a great night. Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.